And now, the great at 3UZ presents your man in the morning, Bert Newton.
Everything I do for Bert.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to have you with us.
Everything I do
for Bert. Some may think Bert's not much, but they like his gentle touch. Do you like my gentle touch? Do you like my gentle touch? You don't, you filthy beast.
So everything I do,
Everything I do,
just between me and
all together. Everything I do for Bert. I can't make that last note. I can't sustain that last note. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the morning program on the Greater 3UZ. A happy Monday morning to you. Monday morning, the 5th of March, 1979, 6.5 minutes past 9 o'clock. The temperature in Melbourne is almost 17 degrees, just a smidgen off, just a button nose off 17 degrees in Melbourne. And this morning our special guest is going to be the King.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go.
Yes, G. much as well. And our special guest for this morning is a dear old friend who's going to be with us until 12 o'clock. Graham Canutely. Graham, good morning.
Good morning to you, Herbie. How lovely to be with you.
It's good to have you with us. This is the Radio Theatre, or what is left of the Radio Theatre, which would bring back a lot of memories to you.
Bert, I used to do a program in this studio called Cookery Nook with Nicky and all the old 3UZ people like Gil Charlesworth and Norman Ellis and Rolly Barley. Wonderful memories to walk in here. Still as dirty as it ever was.
And also it's smaller now, you see, where we're standing. I think this used to be part of this is where the organ used to be, Shirley's organ used to be.
No, I think this is where the men's lavatory used to be, actually.
That's where Shirley kept her organ.
That's true, yes.
Well, which cap are you wearing this morning?
I don't know. I've got a King of Moomba cap and I've got an odd angry shot cap. It's up to you, Herbie, which one you'd like me to put on.
Well, let's talk about the film first, because it's going to be very important. It just happens that you've got some releases there, which you wouldn't need, of course, because there'd be no one closer to the film than yourself. You've got the starring role, and something which no one's mentioned as yet, and I'm sure I'm right in saying that you've broken new ground yet again in being the first person.
I'm a giant of the industry.
In having your name above the title of the film.
Oh, yes. Well, that was, that's between producers and management. There are 5 leading parts in the film. I'm one of them. And according to Geraldine Pascal in The Australian last Saturday, the best one of them.
Let's read that. Let me read that.
Geraldine review.
That's the woman I saw you having a drink with in the Hilton, isn't it?
How dare you? How dare you?
Geraldine. What did you say? It's in the... You've marked it for me. I got it. I used to have to do this. I don't have to do it now, It's in the characters of the men, particularly Graham Kennedy's marvellously cynical and wisecracking corporal, in their rough camaraderie, in their war experiences, and the wild, drunken, larrikin humour, that it shows that maybe, in time to come, Graham Kennedy could be somewhat of an actor.
It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It does not say that. Read the other blue bit.
The other blue bit.
That's
okay.
Oh, that's terrific.
It's fast-paced, nicely photographed by Don McAlpin. Don McAlpin.
Yes, he used to make flowers.
That's right. He's got a good, tight script and some excellent acting.
I didn't ever see his tight script.
He's got a very tight one.
Has he?
That's one. He didn't check that out.
Oh, sure.
Anyway, it's got some excellent acting from its cast. Now, this is going to be a trial for me.
Go on.
Kennedy, brilliant, with that clear star quality as Harry. John Hargraves, meeting him joke for joke.
Don't read that bit.
And almost stealing the acting honours.
No need to read that.
As Bung. John Jarrett as the initially naive Bill. Brian Brown as the optimistic Roger. He's a nice man, Brian Brown,
Very
isn't
nice.
he? Graham Dawson.
Yes, that's Blundell, actually. That's a slight error.
Graham Dawson as the... I love Graham Dawson.
No,
On the Road to Mandalay.
No, that's Paul Robeson.
Oh. And also Ian Gilmore as the more sensitive Scott. What do they mean, more sensitive?
We think he's a poof, but I'm sure.
Graham, the shooting of it must have been quite a trial, because, no longer do you just go into a film studio and do they have pretend leeches and things. They have the real ones now, don't they?
While we're in the jungle, one of the delights, Bert, of making a location film in this country is that the actors get to see parts of Australia that you would normally never see. And we were... Our location was in and around the Army Warfare Centre at Canungra in southeast Queensland, where, Herbie, I promise you, the scenery is absolutely stunning. Some of the rainforest, some of that area, just beautiful. And the trees are so high that they meet at the top. You really don't see daylight. So Don McAlpin had to light all that area, and it's so pretty and so beautiful. And that's one of the thrills of making a location film in Australia. You get to see some lovely places. But there were ticks and leeches and snakes and all kinds of crawlies.
Now, I know, like me, you're not over-wrapped in those sort of things.
No, I'm not.
Do you get to a stage where you accept them, or are you always looking around for a snake or something?
I kept the eyes open, and you can understand with my eyes open, it's a cinemascope. But I didn't get a tick, thank heavens. A lot of the cast got ticks. Derek Denise, our makeup bloke, covered me in eucalyptus. Apparently ticks are not thrilled about eucalyptus. So I didn't get a tick. But they're rather nasty, but they burrow into your head and blow themselves up, and like they're there for some weeks, and it's very painful.
And also they're particularly dangerous if you happen to have a pretty heavy growth of hair on your head. If a guy who's got a lot of hair would be in a lot of trouble.
Luckily you and I don't qualify.
Okay, shut your face. It's 21 minutes past 10 o'clock on The Greater, and our special guest for this morning is Graham Kennedy. The question that most people want to ask concerning yourself, Graham, is...
Apart from that one.
Well, in my particular case, I know the answer. What are you going to do in the years to come? Is it going to be television? Is it going to be movies? Is it going to be a sprinkling of both?
I hope for the moment, Bert, I can concentrate on Australian motion pictures. There aren't very many. I'm 45, as you know. Losing hair rapidly. Fat. Funny eyes. I just wish this... current revival in Australian motion pictures had happened 20 years ago, because obviously there'd be a greater selection of parts. But I'm interested now in doing anything in Australian motion pictures. I took the Odd Angry Shot because I felt I could play the character of Harry. I took Mac in Don's Party for the same reason. I don't know what the next one will be. I don't necessarily want to be a leading actor. I'll take anything. But for the moment, that's what I want to do. Eventually, as Don asked me the other night, what would tempt me back? And... as I said, I can't predict how I'll feel in the next 6 months or 6 years. But if ever I did come back to television, I'd like to do what I used to do with you and the gang, because I miss those days terribly.
Now, you actually said last week, I didn't hear the whole of it because Don had glazed over and I'd fainted. You did say 22 Bendigo Street in Richmond, so are we to read from that there's a chance you could come back to the old home territory?
Well, I would like to. I meant that. I meant that's what would tempt me back. Because we all know, even our arch rivals at other television networks all agree that Channel 9 in Melbourne is something very, very special. I mean, we send out a certain kind of program that no one else can duplicate.
Just getting back to the movies, Chick, I suppose the breakthrough that's got to be made is for Australia to get its first truly international film.
Exactly. The Money Movers, I think, of its genre, that means style, Bert.
Thank you.
I think it's the best Australian motion picture I've seen. Best special effects. It's as good as anything. What did I see? The Taxi Driver, excellent film. I think Bruce has made one in The Money Movers. The Odd Angry Shot may well be the first of our films that has some kind of international appeal. Because the beaut thing, Herbie, is that now you don't have to have big stars. I mean, Robert Redford will always be in work, but no one had heard of Brad Davies before Midnight Express. At the other end of the scale, this might seem ridiculous, but no one had heard of Chris Reeve until Superman, had they? What I mean is, people go to the movies now because they've heard it's a good movie, not necessarily because big stars are in it. So, in that respect, Money Movers, Odd Angry Shot, could have a chance overseas.
You mentioned Christopher Reeve. The intriguing thing is, you're right in saying that he wasn't known, but movies do strange things to people. They do make them stars overnight. Christopher Reeve, prior to doing Superman, was co-starring on stage with Katharine Hepburn.
Was it? I didn't know that.
So theatrically, he was doing very nicely, thank you. I've got a special surprise for you. Just turn around there and you will see, Graham, the man who gave you your job at the Greater 3UZ, John McMahon.
What a surprise. Hello, John.
Come in, John.
How are you?
Hello, Graham. How are you?
What a surprise.
Bertie.
Good morning, John.
Morning,
Thanks
Bertie.
for joining us.
My pleasure.
Tell that story, Bert, about John. They mightn't have heard you then, but if it wasn't for John, I don't think either of us would be here today.
As a matter of fact, I haven't thought of that before. John was responsible for your first job at 3UZ and your first important job in radio. and then indeed he was responsible for getting me here. You tell me how it happened with you.
Well, it actually, more important than any of those things, he taught me the words to never, never.
I didn't, you know. And I wasn't actually responsible for...
John, you were, because...
we had two message boys, or couriers they call them today, remember?
Yes.
It's a nicer word than message boy in any event.
But that's what I applied for. I applied for the job of messenger boy at 3UZ after being knocked back at another radio station in Melbourne. They said, I applied for the job as turntable operator. And Mr. Quinn said, what experience have you had? And I said, well, Mr. Quinn, one night at Radio Australia, the announcer was drunk, and it was Easter, and I played 36 sides of the crucifixion. And he said, no, that's not quite the experience we're after. So I didn't get that job. So I applied at UZ, got interviewed by John, who said, we'll let you know. And I missed out on that job. John confided to me later, many years later, that he didn't think I was robust enough to carry all those transcriptions down to Spencer Street Station every day.
You were very light those days. It looked like a lightweight, like an apprentice jockey.
That's right.
Little tall.
What were your early memories of Graham, John, back in those years?
I had one that I don't know what I should tell.
Go on.
Meeting your father, do you remember?
Oh, Sid.
Can I tell that? Oh, no, I
Please
won't
do.
tell it, no.
Please.
Yeah, I knew him at the Palais when I was under contract at Palais from 33 to 36, but I never did get to know his surname. We knew each other by Christian names. There were a lot of people that associated themselves with that type of entertainment, and you knew them by either their surname or the Christian name or a nickname, and he was known as City the Dasher.
City of the Dasher.
And then later, Greasy Ken.
Greasy Ken when he worked at the market.
And I ran into him down in Burke Street outside what used to be on the other side, Payne's, Bon Marche. And we exchanged salutations, and he said, how are you keeping? The usual thing. And as soon as we got over that, how are you keeping? But he said, how's that kid of mine doing up there? And I said, doing up where? And he said, at 3UZ. I said, your kid? Because I don't know his surname. And he said, yes, young Graham. You know. Well, we had two Grahams here at the time, do you remember?
We did.
And I said, which one? He said, you don't know my surname.
Graham Gilson, was that the other one?
I can't remember the other boy's name.
I can't remember.
But he said Graham Kennedy. So I came, so we, carried on for a few bars, and then I came back up here sometime later in the afternoon. You came in with some mail for me. And I said, I was talking with your dad today, Graham. And you said, were you, sir? Walked out and slammed the door.
I think the best line a message boy ever had to anybody was a line that was given to Graham a couple of years ago. I think it was Timothy Lynch, whose job it was each day to deliver a herald around to you and to make conversation one day. You said, and young boy, what do you want to do in life? What job do you want? Remember
that's right, yes. He looked at me and said, yours.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough.
Answer,
And Tim went on to bigger and better things. He went to London and was in the Rocky Horror Show for a long time. Then he's in America now working as a bellboy at the Hilton.
But a very good one, I believe. A very, very good one. John.
As a matter of fact,
Sure.
the pièce de resistance, what happened later in the day, you came in and sort of opened the door and said, excuse me, sir, if I appeared a little rude earlier in the day.
Did I?
You did.
Even
And you
though-
explained the reasons why you didn't want to. You said, I don't care if I never hear my father's name mentioned again.
Ah, yes.
And it was quite an emotional thing, and he walked straight out.
Luckily, later on, Dad and I became close friends just before his death, and he turned out to be a terribly witty man, a very nice man.
Yeah.
But we didn't see much of him during World War II because he was serving overseas.
But here, going back to that a bit again, from then on, you literally were your own man. You made your own way. You modulated or graduated from courier, message boy, into panel operator, and then you took over yourself. I had nothing to do with that at all.
But I always said, John, I got the job because your middle name is Kennedy. And it is. It is indeed. John Kennedy McMahon.
You didn't know that at the
John,
time.
would you do us a favour? Combining of the talents of Graham Kennedy and John Kennedy McMahon and Never Never.
I haven't done this for a long time, I'm here to tell you. What better seat than a saddle? What better roof than the sky? What better song than the songs men sing when their hearts are happy and spirits high?
We're riding to the Never Never on a long white road, a road that never ends. We're going to a wide brown country where the skies are blue and every man's a friend. Down nobody knows just when we will get there. But what does it matter if time goes